called Just a Misunderstanding. Just a misunderstanding, of course. Nothing serious or cause for alarm. Just because he got her a dustbuster for Christmas instead of diamond earrings. And for her birthday, it was a blunder. Wearing counted, but not as much as a ticket for two to St. John. The mirror was confusing, too. These days, it didn't smile at her flushed cheeks and full lips. It grabbed with sharp claws and pointed laughing at every new mile mark under her brows. And that wasn't gray creeping in. It was lying again, stupid piece of glass. And her thoughtful husband's new secretary wasn't that gorgeous. And she wasn't that much younger or smarter, just sneakier. And maybe, she had to admit, a few pounds. Well, maybe 1 pound later. And she didn't really cry at night. That was only the leftover vapors of the last particularly potent onion she had sliced at dinner time. And he wasn't that late. 5 to 7 wasn't that long for a half-hour drive. And she didn't care anyway, because everybody was late, and everybody was doomed, and life was just a reason to make up new excuses. Never say die was his motto, and he witnessed her fading. And he couldn't help but notice the 16-year-olds waiting for the school bus, and their legs were alive, and their tight skirts blew kisses to his imagination, and he was younger too. And his wife was fading into the wall like a bad stain from some wine glass flung there years ago, but no one could remember the taste or the scent, or the full-bodied color sparkling with life. And time was a shark, sinking great teeth in her flesh, opening horrible jaws to engulf the remainder. And youth was a magnet to him, sucking him away because he couldn't stand the thought of being swallowed too. There would be a day to leave, he concluded, between the lines of newspaper that buried his face, and he would be revived and happy and whole again. And maybe a schoolgirl would fall in love with his receding hairline. And she would probably worship that spot of paunch at his waistline. And everything would begin again, and everything old would be stricken from the record. And that's what life was anyway. Always new chances to start with a clean slate. Sometimes a flash of metal on his hand would catch the sun and bore into his eyes. But of course he wasn't crying. It was just the orange gleam of sharpness drawing water. This is by the grace of Neptune. I can see salt flows with my tongue. The damp air teases my hair. I am a wild-eyed water nymph on the sand. It creeps between my toes, and I feel them merge and web. Upward, it continues to find me. My flesh is greeted by tangy breeze and coolness of the ocean before me. My flesh is seduced into surrendering its ghostly pale, into trading for flaccid skin, brilliant scales of violet and emerald and gleaming silver. I am reunited with the turquoise water. I am shiny, slippery, glistening. I am enchanted in the spicy water. I am effervescent, irrepressible, exalted, one with the water. I am the water. This is Small Town Dreams. The night air is hot, thick, muggy, a summer song in shades of black. The bright lights have risen after 9 p.m.'s dawn, and a score of diamonds shining above. A sleek red ZX slicing through the darkness, darting like a shiny tongue on wheels around the sinuous winds of a country road. A small town in the south. Culture is a college town with a few throngs of kids in overall jeans and tie-dye tees, and a lounge at the Holiday Inn. Deserted on Friday night except for the staff and a DJ who spins rap dance songs, or a sparkling ball over the sunken dance floor. And no one is there except for 2 groups of drunks, one of which consists of 2 women and 3 men who shake it down between gulps of their booze and drags on their smokes. And the other, which is 3 Indian men who are recognizably smashed, who ride to the raft of Middle Eastern steps on the lower tiles and sip blue liquid that looks like Windex. And the leader, who flashes a wad of hundreds with a wrist wrapped in chunky bands of gold, is barefoot. Later, it is learned, he lost his shoe by flinging it at a lamppost as part of the game, but it fell in a gutter, and he wants to be rid of its mate because it is incriminating evidence And he wouldn't like his wife to know his shoes were a gift from his girlfriend. And I danced with my date to one song, one slow song, whose music swells and chokes the emptiness of the lounge, whose sweet molasses melody strangles the spinning second hand on my watch for 2 minutes or so. And my date whispers lies with sugared ebony eyes. And the Indian drunk with one expensive loafer wants to lure me into a lamp-throwing bet, and I look at him straight-faced and say, we're on our honeymoon. And the southern hours draw on, and the lonely heartmates of all the above have paced or drank or slept this night alone. And I alone remain, wrapped in a humid blanket of night, with a score of stars above, peering like undaunted headlights under Red Sea, through barren twists of charcoal fog, scorching past my city street smarts, beaming somehow unforgiving on all my small-town dreams. This is called bread. My stomach groans like a discontent martyr, as Marley wails from the grave through the lips of his son. Bread is scarce, a precious entity here, in the third world emptiness of my crypt. Bread is an aged prayer I chant, like the dark pencil stick figures do, in their southern deserts, clouded over and smothered by white lard, regal and indifferent. Need, the precious connector, bread needed and risen to float away like thin green feathers, to float past the arid fields once filled with the brown graceful arms of plentiful sheaves. Need, the omnipotent denominator, crawls past the blue veins on the map, crosses unashamed the lines of demarcation on the plastic globe, jumping across continents as easily as valleys. Everywhere bellies bloom in emptiness, swollen crocuses sown in neglect. The large-sheet gardeners like squirrels hurry to hide copper and green nuts for their winter. It is for the furry hustlers not to be one of discontent. Other than them, we are many, withered by need like a widow, dancing desperately over her web, aching frozen in her mad season for the unreturning mate. Need is the preacher who weds us. We wait with open hands and many foreign tongues for his sermons to suffice us. We wait for his rectory to minister to us in communion of green and brown bread. We huddle together like frigid flowers, chanting the ancient entreaty for bread. But ice bears plenty. It multiplies in crystal apathetic blocks. It glazes shell-like over the greasy Scrooges with their feathers and nuts and impotent hose. This overabundant ice slips in like slivers to impale my heart. It makes me distrust your warm fingers. It stretches farther than Antarctica, farther than Alaska. It is not touched by global warming. Hail drops from the large clouds upon us, as the fathers and husbands continue to wail from the grave through the lips of their successors. We huddle together like counted flowers, shivering in our frozen, moldy fears, chanting the ancient petition for bread. Thanks. The last poem I'm going to read is called Day 2, Sketching the Seventh Night. The plenteous platters in a poorhouse, its down hours emptiness lost, in a turgid clatter of feet and the volume of mingling voices, aisles bustling with bodies and fingers and hair, and a smell of burgers and Mexican fare, a table in the corner where cold beer chased hot jalapenos and splashed between lips drenched with laughter. There was a pink poster plastered on a rough stone pillar of the train stop in Kenmore. It advertised the urgent need for large men to audition for the role of a sumo wrestler. Beyond this frantic call for flesh, the pavement stretched like worn infinity, not flinching under fire of flipped-away cigarettes, not buckling beneath the soles and accompanying poundage. The night reached like a gray sarabi, to enfold streets and lampposts and placards strewn like an ashen litter. The gray clouds stirred, admitting sparse white stars to whisper above a black tar roof, where late quiet chatter persisted in the circling whisks of 2 cigarettes twined easily together. Except for a lone cruiser's siren, silence stretched like protection over all the people tucked below, nestling and nuzzling and aching for sobs, stretching in darkness, all pink and fuzzy, and wrestling, wrestling.